Hi Baba, we are live now on the Facebook and YouTube. You are muted. Oh. Hi John, we are ready. Can you do the other?
We're ready. So are we early? So what's the time? So okay. Well, if we're ready, I'll start the program and we'll just carry on from here. Hello everyone. Hello Padmini. Hello Ansuk. Hello Mindy. Hello Babasi. Hey. And I said hello to Ali and Abdul. I ran downstairs and said hello to Ali and Abdul. So I'm now back up in my room so we don't get echoes. And so, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and assembled company, welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. And it is morning here in Morocco. It will be morning in the UK. It'll be the middle of the night in the USA. And it'll probably be evening in Korea and Asia and all round. So we've definitely got a global clock this morning. We are indeed the World Storytelling Cafe. And it's our well, anyone can join, but it's today is specifically so so our friends in Asia and Australasia can actually get to us. So there's so I've been taken a bit surprised. Hello, Phil. Bit surprised. I'm completely. I keep changing countries, so I've no idea what the time is anywhere at the moment. But it's great to be traveling again, and I've been I've been getting things together for our World our Marrakesh International Storytelling Festival, which is happening in February from the 12th to the 20th. And I've been visiting all the venues and trying to make contact and shaking hands with people and just experiencing the wonders of this magic city. So and it's a little warmer here than it is with you, Phil, up in Scotland. I've got some blue sky. You remember blue sky, Phil?
There's not been much this week.
Right, so who shall we who wants to go first? Ansuk, would you like to tell a story first? And then if people join us at the correct time, which I think we're due to start in about 3/4 now, but we'll just have a really long program, and maybe if there's when everyone else comes, and we can tell a couple of stories, but tell another story later. But Ansuk, so I don't just talk forever.
Hello, good to see you all. And thank you, John, giving me the first chance to tell a story at World Storytelling Cafe. And my story is a Japanese folk tale. Over 30 years ago, at National Storytelling Festival in USA, Brenda Wang Aoki told this story, Black Hair. And fortunately, I got the book they published. Best loved stories told at the National Storytelling Festival. I got this book. So here I found this story, and actually this black hair story I loved, and my first story I told to people in English many years ago. So I hope my memory works well. Long ago, In Kyoto, there lived a samurai who was reduced to poverty by the ruin of his lord. So he had no land, he had no job. He was a loaning, jobless samurai. He was married to a good, beautiful wife with long blue-black hair. Day after day, this samurai sat drinking sake to forget his sorrows. He never noticed how often his wife went hungry to feed him. One day he looked up and said, I lost everything, and now I lose all my face by wearing rags. Oh, how I wish I had a new kimono. We can imagine how a mature husband this man is. But anyway, the next day the samurai awoke at noon as usual. Then he heard Juka, Juka, Juka. He followed the sound to a little room where his wife was working. In front at the room, he saw his wife. Her hair was as short as a little boy, and she was weaving her long blue-black hair into cloth. Day after day, she wove the cloth, never stopping to eat or sleep. Then one day, she came out of the room with the most beautiful kimono made of her own hair. This she gave to her husband. Her husband looked at the kimono and said, what kind of kimono is this? This had no crest on it. His wife said, oh, my love, we have no crest because we have no master. But the samurai said, then make one up. Make me the symbol of great power. But his wife had no money to buy dye or thread. So she bit her finger and blood ran crimson. With the blood, she wrote the symbol of Kokoro, heart. Then her husband, why have you written this on my kimono? And snarled the samurai. His wife said, my love, you asked me the symbol of great power. The greatest power in all the world is that of good heart. The samurai was really pleased with this new kimono, and he put on this kimono and he went out to the street. He was strutting up and down the street to show himself off. Just then he saw a magnificent procession. 150 banner men waving purple banners in front, and 300 samurais followed. At the center, a beautiful maid sat on a white stallion. The beautiful woman saw the samurai with his new kimono and said, oh my, how handsome you look in that kimono. The samurai replied, oh, I was just taking a break from my official duties. The lady said, oh, not only you are handsome, but you are an official. My father can use a man like you. My father is the Lord of Nagoya. Come with me and show him your worth. The samurai was so pleased, and he ran back to his house and he told his good wife, now I have a very important position with the Lord of Nagoya, and I have to leave immediately. His good wife was heartbroken because Nagoya was far from Kyoto. The samurai left his good wife and went to Nagoya with the fair lady. And soon he became a high official. He was a smart man. He was a brave man. And the fair lady persuaded him to marry her. But in those days, in the law, samurai should not have two official wives. So he sent a messenger to his good wife that he had divorced her. The date was 13th of November. And soon he married to the lady of Nagoya. But you know, wealth or power does not make one happy. Soon his beautiful wife proved to have a bad temper. She was quick to anger, quick to flash. She did not care about his happiness or his peace of mind. She only cared about jeweled hair ornament, new kimono, or sweet rice cake. She was really, you know, a woman high maintenance and a woman who has attitude. So samurai was not happy at all. But months passed, years passed, many years passed, and one night the samurai could not sleep, so he was awoke in his bed. Then he heard "Chuka, chuka, chuka." Was it the servant passing at night or working at his room? Anyway, this sound, "Chuka, chuka, chuka," this sound just arose in his mind the old memories of his good wife. It is like the wave of tsunami. He was overcome with the yearning of his good wife. Oh, he remembered her long blue-black hair and the kimono made of her own hair and the crest made of her blood. So he went up to the attic and searched all the boxes, and he found the old kimono thick with dust. He just put on that kimono and he decided to go back to his good wife. So he went to his second wife and demanded divorce. His wife snarled, "You married me for my money and power. Now you have it, and I am old and ugly." She became fat and ugly. "So you leave me, my little official?" But he ignored. He didn't listen. He went to the stable and just riding the fastest stallion, wearing that old kimono. He just raced back to Kyoto. It was a long way, so at the nightfall, he arrived at his old poor house. It was no longer poor but tidy house. The tall weeds growing on the roof, and the front room was empty, and the chilly wind blew through the holes, and the moon shone through the tears of the paper doors. It was totally abandoned house. He just went behind to go to his wife's little working room. There he saw a glow within. So he approached the room and slightly opened the paper door. There, his wife was there. She had not changed at all. She was the wife he remembered all the days. She turned around and looked at him. Oh my, you came back. Oh, how I wished I had you back only for a moment. The samurai now cried. Only for a moment. Now I came back to you. For eternity, we will be together. And I am a rich man. You don't have to suffer anymore. So they just lay down together, reaching over in 20 years, and their bodies joined as one. The next morning, before the sun rose, the samurai awoke. And he realized he was not lying on a soft bed. He was lying on a rotten, moldy floor. Oh, was it a dream? No, my wife is there sleeping. So he bent over to kiss her dear cheeks. She had no face. There he saw a corpse of a woman, so decayed only bones remained with crawling insects and long tangled black hair. He was so terrified and shocked, he ran out of the house and went into the street and bumped into an old man. The old man was surprised. And what happened? The samurai couldn't talk. He just pointed to the house. Then the old man nodded his head. Yes, that house. The poor samurai's wife. She was divorced by her husband 20 years ago, and she was sick, and she died on the date of November 13th, 20 years ago.
Oh, whoa. Oh, thank you, Ansu. A beautiful story. It's until we got to the end, I was thinking, what a great story. We went yesterday when I was planning the festival. We were going to have in the Cafe Clock, which was the cafe that has always had storytelling in Marrakesh. I sat with the owner yesterday and we planned, because Valentine's Day, February the 14th, is going to be on during the festival. We thought we'd have a Valentine's Day special at the cafe for the performance. And I was thinking, oh dear, I will ask Aunt Soup for permission to tell that story. And then when we got to the end, I'm thinking, whoa, maybe it is not a good story for Valentine's Day.
This is for Halloween.
It's a Halloween story. It's a story for all time. It's a story for all time.
Very old story.
It's a story.
And
it's a story to give men a slap on the face.
yes.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think Wang Aoki, the famous performer, Brenda Wang Aoki, in those days when she told this story with the Japanese kimono and the fan, she was very young. But now I think she is quite senior storyteller. So
Well, I must. We must thank her for bringing for bringing that story to you and you bringing that story to us. I was gonna ask Mindy if she would go next, but I see Mindy has become a shadow. Mindy has metamorphosed, and Mindy has become her chair.
Hey, John Rowe.
Yeah.
Could you ask Unsuk to hold the book back up that she was referencing earlier? All right, I thought I recognized the storyteller on the front. That's why I was asking. Yes, that's a great book.
Yes, yes. This lady, famous legend.
Do you know her name?
Yes, the Golden Arms is very famous. Jackie, she's Jackie. Oh, she's so famous woman. I loved her, but I can't right now. But Jackie,
I know her. I knew her. I know her. She and I, if she's who I think it is, we go way back. I used to have hair under here, and I knew her then. Great book, great storyteller. Thank you.
Now,
her
we
name,
know you're.
could you tell me her name? Jackie Maurice? What?
I don't remember her name off the top of my head. That's why I was hoping it was there. But if she's who I think it is, she's a great storyteller. She's one of the grand dames of storytelling. And I think I met her years ago when I was just a wee slip of a lad. Okay, John, I'm muting.
We've lost John by the looks of it.
He'll be back. He always comes back.
Anshuk, I'm doing an event next week with Jackie Ross, and I was going to tell one of your stories. Would you like to hear me tell it to you? And I've got a really odd request. Would you like to then tell the story in Korean afterwards? Because I would love to hear you tell a story in Korean. Would you be interested in that?
Phil, could you, I beg your pardon?
Oh, did I speak too fast? I would like to tell one of your stories, the farting donkey, and I would love if you told the story afterwards in Korean, so that we could hear you tell your story in your own language. I would love if you would do that.
I love to do that.
Okay, so if that's okay, is it okay if I tell that story? Yeah. So there's this very, very rich merchant, and he's going away to travel to the next village. So he gets all dressed up in his finest clothes and puts on his finest hat. And of course, he's going a long way, so he has to take his finest donkey. He's got loads of donkeys, but it has to be his best donkey. And he gets on the back of his donkey and he starts going along the road, and he loves his donkey. And he's rocking back and forwards and rocking back and forwards, loving the ride along. And he comes across this poor man carrying his load on his back. And it's plainly heavy. Doesn't stop singing, the rich man, as he's going along the donkey. He couldn't care less that it's a hot, hot day and the poor man is struggling with his load. And as they come side by side, they start walking together. And the poor man says, "Hiya, how are you doing?" And the rich man goes, "Fine, thank you," trying desperately to ignore the poor man that he wants nothing to do with. But they carry on and carry on. The rich man has stopped singing because he's trying to ignore the poor man as best he can. And the poor man says, "Would you mind carrying some of my bricks for me, seeing we're going along the road together?" And the rich man goes, "No, why would I do that? I'm dressed in my finest of clothes and riding my most expensive donkey. I'm not going to dirty my clothes or wear my donkey out. So no, I'm sorry, said the poor man. Well, this is what his life is. He carries heavy things. He will be fine. But it's a hot, hot day, and a little bit further along the road, he tries again, and he goes, would you mind not just taking some of the bricks and putting them on your knees just to help me? And he goes, no. It doesn't even explain why not. He's just not doing it. And a wee bit further along, the poor man tries again. And just as that, they come to a fork in the road, and the rich man is going left and the poor man is going right. And the poor man says, may I read your fortune? I am an amateur fortune teller. And the rich man, being the rich man, never misses an opportunity to get told how rich he is and how fine he is and how important he is. So he asks for his fortune to be told. And the poor man says, your donkey is going to fart 3 times. And on the 3rd time of that fart, you are going to be so badly hurt. Well, you can just imagine the disdain in which the wealthy man thought of this. And he just gets on his donkey and he starts going along the road. And before long, he's singing away and riding away to his heart's content. He's not far away from the village he's going to, when all of a sudden there was the most outrageous come from the donkey. Well, he all of a sudden remembers what the poor man had said to him. 3 farts, that's 1 gone. I'm going to get, I've not got far to go. But he has stopped moving and moon with the donkey. He is now rigid on that donkey, desperately trying not for the 2nd fart to explode. But that did not work. There was a 2nd fart. Oh my goodness gracious me, that was a loud one. And he's now panicking. He's getting really worried because the way that this donkey's farting, it's going to explode and he might get sent someone everywhere. And so he decides to get off the donkey and start walking beside the donkey. And he's still worrying. And he's going, donkey's going to fart. Just before him is the most perfect stone that you have ever seen. And he picks it up. And he goes to the back of the donkey and he picks up that tail and he sticks that perfect stone where farts come from to make sure that there is no more farts anymore. And he's going along the road and he starts going along the road. But then he's a rich man and this is a valuable donkey that he has just done that to. And he might cause his donkey to actually explode by putting that stone where farts come from, and he decides to go back and retrieve the stone. And just as he picks up that tail to look where farts come from, that donkey farted. And out popped that stone, smack between the eye. He went flying backwards, landed on his bottom, and the advice that he got from the amateur poor man was absolutely true. After the 3rd fart, he was going to get hurt. And it happened.
Thank you, Phil. Marvelous.
Wonderful.
So thank you for sharing that story, Anshuk. And John, when you were away, Anshuk agreed to tell us that story afterwards in Korean.
Fantastic.
So
are we now going to have the story in Korean?
Yes.
I'm glad. What I like is you're all coming so often. If my internet collapses, you just take over. We are a true, we're an anarchist collective.
No, we are a true gathering of storytellers.
Yes,
Absolutely.
but I'm so sorry, Phil, but now I changed my mind. I don't have to tell it in Korean because I don't want to ruin your such a funny atmosphere of this story. We really enjoyed, and we just we should not ruin with my Korean adding story. So
All
no,
right, okay, fair enough.
your story was so funny and good retelling. I am so happy.
And so I think the storyteller is named Jackie Torrance.
Yes.
Yes.
Jackie Torrance.
Yes.
Yes.
Marvelous lady. I met her years and
Jackie
years ago.
Torrance,
Great.
yes.
Yes, a grand storyteller. Yes.
Yes.
Woo, we have a
Oh.
connection.
Fantastic. Right now, Mindy, when I disappeared, Mindy had metamorphosed into a chair. But she appears to be back, and the chair has turned back into Mindy. So, Mindy, have you got a story for us?
Hi, everyone. Hey, so, oh my God, that was the first time I heard that story. I didn't hear the version that Ansuk, but this, Phil, you did such a amazing job with that story, and I was already like this. Okay, so you might be wondering why I have this bird here at my screen. It's got something to do with the story, and I'd like to share wildlife in Singapore with my students and children. And this is one of those in Singapore. It's something called, it's like a rooster, but over here we call it a jungle fowl. And it's it goes goo, 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 goo. I don't know how the roosters in UK or in US are like. Yeah, but there we go. In Korea as well. I wonder how they and Scotland. Yeah. But nice.
Fried chicken.
Before the story, I mean, we all need to. I mean, we'll let Phil. Where's Phil gone? There she is. Can we have a Can we have a Scottish cockerel?
Of course.
Yeah.
And from Padmini, we need an Indian cockerel.
Oh yes. There we go.
Fantastic.
International cockerels, yeah, but our cockerel is a jungle fowl, and yeah, so a very, very, very long time ago, there were three friends. Give me a moment. There were three friends, and these three friends lived in the sky. You might know them as the sun, the moon, and the jungle fowl. So the three friends, they liked each other. They were very close. They liked each other very much. And you might recognize them maybe from the friends that you have. Well, the sun, he's a rather hot-tempered person, but very warm. So you might know someone like that. And then we have the moon. The moon was a very chillax person, very chill. Oh, if we could just, let's not get all worked up about things, Yeah, so that was the moon, chill. And then we had the jungle fowl. So the jungle fowl was someone who liked to get things done. And just if you gave this person a task, you just want to get things done, no drama, nothing, just get it done. And I forgot to mention that at that time, the jungle fowl's comb was it was just greenish color, and the three friends, they were very happy with each other, very, very happy. Yes, they got onto each other's nerves, but nothing too serious. And the sun and the jungle fowl, they were very hardworking. But the moon, he was the chill one. So he was not as hardworking as the other two. Now, one day, the sun went out to work. what work. He had to shine his light to everyone, plants, you know, they all depended on him for growth. And he left the jungle fowl and the moon alone on their own. So the jungle fowl got to doing the chores, you know, getting everything all cleaned up. And the moon was just laid back, chilled. And the jungle fowl actually did some of the chores the moon was supposed to do. And so it came to a point where the jungle fowl asked the moon, hey, aren't you supposed to be bringing the cattle from the field? Aren't you supposed to be milking something? You were supposed to do those chores. And the moon was saying, no. It's all right. I'll do it later. We might know a friend like this. And at some point, towards the end of the day, the moon got a little worried because the sun was coming back, and he knew the sun was going to be livid, to say the least. So the moon told the jungle fowl, hey, could you go and get the cattle for me from the field? Can you bring them in? And the jungle fowl said, no, I've worked so hard. I'm so tired. I don't want to do it. Can you please just do it? I mean, you're nearer to the door than I am. Why don't you just go out there, get the cows back in? And the jungle fowl said, no, I have spent so much time the whole day doing all this work. And he said, and the jungle fowl said, listen, you should get up, get off and do your chores. And that made the moon so angry. He actually grabbed the jungle fowl by the comb and shook him. Shook. And the poor bird was in so much pain that his comb became bloody red. And he then, to add on to the shame, the moon took that jungle fowl by the comb and threw him out of the sky, and he landed on earth. Poor bird. Well, the sun came home and asked the moon, where is the jungle fowl? Well, the moon was, we got into a fight. You know, he didn't want to do something I asked him to. And the sun went, and you know, he was expecting the sun to sympathize with him. The way he told the story, how the jungle fowl didn't want to help him and all that. But no, the sun was livid, lost his temper, was fury, you know, just absolutely angry. And said, it must have been you must have done something to cause this. And so he threw him out of the house and told the moon, since you can't live in harmony with us, you shall not stay here any longer. And so he told the moon, I will take the day and you will have the night. And so it was. The sun would come out in the day and the moon would come out at night. But then you may ask, what about the jungle fowl? Well, you see, the jungle fowl missed his old friend, the sun. And when the sun came up behind the horizon, the jungle fowl will be there waiting, fluffing his feathers, pushing out his chest, and he will give a big cock-a-doodle-doo to greet his old friend, the sun. But then, when the sun went down behind the horizon and the moon was about to come up, well, the jungle fowl ran off and hid. And so the jungle fowl never wanted to see his friend or his then friend, the moon, ever again. And that's the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Oh, there's an explanation for everything. Wonderful. We are a small group today. Usually we're more, but I think it's Padmini is, we usually have a few more people from India, but I think everyone's had a really good Diwali and they're recovering. Padmini, did you have a go? How was your Diwali? Was it a happy one?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I think everyone else is just still sleeping for 10 days afterwards. Welcome to our little gathering, and it is little today, but it is quality, and there are people watching it on all kinds of things, Facebook.
John Rowe,
so
it's
not
intimate today.
It's intimate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Padmini, welcome to us, and do you have a story for us?
Oh yes, I recently did a course with Mr. David Attrell, CREST course, and as part of a submission I had during the course, I had told this folk tale from northern Karnataka of India, southern Karnataka. So I'm into teaching, and I usually interrelate. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're very, very much so. You're coming over very well.
All right, thank you. So I usually interrelate this concept of teaching languages, subjects, and other things, environment, and everything, so that it becomes a holistic approach of learning and again storytelling and puppets kind. So this was a story I had told, and have told it a couple of times before also. Of course, in a closed classroom. It's about a millet that is grown in this region of Karnataka and Maharashtra. It is known as jawar, sorghum or something, a kind, I think in English, I'm not very sure. It's a dry land crop, doesn't require much of water, and quite healthy. And it's known as a poor man's bread because they make it, and making is also very simple, but of course there's a tact. You need to know the trick how to make and learn it, but it's quite something like that. So I would like to tell you a story about that. Hope you all like it. Let me change my camera a bit. All right. I wanted my pot also to be visible. Hope my pot is visible. Is my pot visible?
Yes, yeah, it's quite visible.
Once, near a village in the Western Ghat forest region, there lived a man and a woman who were farming. They were engaged in farming jawar. The jawar was coming up. They were hardworking. And jawar was the main food. And they knew you wanted to make a porridge out of it. Huh. Dear, it's a time for harvesting. Why don't you go and get some men from the neighboring village, said the woman. So the man went out to get people from the neighboring village. Now it was a harvesting time. She had to protect the crop from birds and animals. So she was all alone. She had erected a big stage kind of a thing in her farm. She took a rattle kind of a thing. A rattle kind of a thing to chase the birds. And as it was getting late, dark, she had to cook for herself and eat. So she came down, she lit the fire, she placed all the firewood. The fire was lit. She placed her pot poured in water and the water was boiling. She sat looking at the water boiling. By then, she heard some strange sound coming far from a distance. She thought, she ignored. Again, after some time, it was louder. Now she was a bit scared. What is it? Strange? Wild animals? She knew. The sound started increasing and they were coming closer. She didn't know what to do. She was just looking at a distance, but she couldn't see anything because it was getting dark. She just lifted her sack of flour, just looking here and there. She emptied the whole sack of flour into the pot. She took the ladle and she started stirring it. She was scared. The sound started coming more and more. And now her heart started beating fast. She was sweating. She didn't know what to do. She was just stirring and stirring and stirring. And then she could see a hazy kind, a giant figure like a shadow moving very close to her. She held her breath. Oh my God, this is going to be the last day. My husband is also not here, otherwise I would have pushed him and saved myself. What to do? She just was stirring and then she looked into the pot. The whole thing had turned into a hot lump kind of a thing. I was supposed to make a porridge and this has become something like this. What to do? She didn't know. As the giant figure started marching closely, coming nearer and nearer, bravely she pulled out a lump. She rolled it. She patted it, and threw at the giant feared up. She again pulled out a lump and rolled it, and she tapped and she threw again. She pulled out and rolled it, and she tapped and she threw, and she went on. Ouch, 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 ouch! Oh, my dear wife, this is your dear husband, said the man. Now the lady was furious. She just removed one of the burning earth. She started chasing him and they both ran around and they rested after a while. And she said, oh my God, you scared me. No, I wanted to test how brave you are, said the man. By then, her eyes went on the fire earth. There were chunks of these lumps that had fallen and got baked and turned a kind of thing. She was just wondering and she picked one, smelt it, bit, tastes better. She took one more, smelt it, not bad. So they started eating all the chunks that got baked over there. Now they had an idea. Hey, every day we are making a porridge. Maybe we can try out something like this. But they knew only one thing to do. They wanted somebody to frighten and they had to get the lump ready and they knew to pull the lump, roll it, make it pat it and put on the fire. And then they started baking it. And that's how the story of the jawar roti that's been made in this region has come. It's been told to me by one of the ladies when I was working with an irrigation project. It's just a story told to me, so I hope this is a true story. That's it.
Of course it is a true story.
The reason I said that was because I didn't hear the story from
Absolutely.
anybody else, only from
Because-
one lady.
Because that lady's grandmother's grandmother saw it actually happen.
Happen. Could be. Could be.
Fantastic.
Never apologize for a story well told.
That it was a beautiful story. Do come and visit us again. And because of the time in India, you're very lucky because you can come to this and then you can come to another story share, which is next Sunday. Well, this Sunday there's some, but tomorrow there's something. But 6 o'clock UK time. Tomorrow there is 6 p.m.
Yes.
UK time tomorrow.
Yes.
We've got Rock the Casbah, which is a fundraiser for the festival.
Yes.
You can tell a story on that. And then next Sunday,
Yes.
every 2 weeks, so that will be next Sunday, we have the Worldwide Story Round. And again, that's 6 o'clock in the evening. So that's 11 p.m., 12 p.m. where you are. It's around that time. And so, you know, if you're an insomniac, you can come and tell a story then. But
Yes.
please, and then once a month we have these. So
Sure.
please come and join us if you have more stories like that. We would love you to be here again and again and again, because
so much.
that was beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, John
Thank
Rowe,
you.
Yeah.
may I very quickly share something with Mindy? I
You
make it
may.
very, very quick. Okay. So Mindy, your story reminded me of a comb adventure that I had. And many years ago, when I first became bald, someone thought it was funny to give me a comb as a birthday present. And their intent was not nice. So when they gave me the comb, I took off my kufi and I told them, "Thank you so much for this present. I will never part with it." They were not happy that I was happy.
Well done, Baba. That's cool. Good retort, yeah.
And that's a true story.
Well, that's fantastic, Babasi. You're not going to get away with anything that short.
I do have a short story if I'm allowed.
You're allowed to tell the story any length you want. Babasi, you know, you're always you have free range. There's, you know, there are certain, you know these places that have got residents that have been there forever and can do what they want. At the cafe, Babasi is such a resident. So
I'm just trying to catch up with you.
Babasi can do whatever he wants anytime. Within
All right,
reason.
this-
And when I tell you off, don't remind me that I said
Oh no, we have it on tape.
forget immediately that I said that.
John, we need to see the upper part of your face though, because you're. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sitting-
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
It's I'm not on my own computer. When things went wrong with mine, I ran downstairs.
So when I tell the story, understand that if I joke about John Rowe, it's only because he's a very dear friend and we go back and forth that way. So this story is an old story. It took place long before John Rowe or Babasi were born, long before our black beards became gray and white. This story is old, or some people would say, this is a senior story. So back before the coming of man, when animals were the first people on earth, every animal had its way and every way had its animal. Now, the jackal was a sly little thing, and it would often hold its nose close to the ground, sniffing out for the odd scent here and there, for it often looked for easy prey. And one day while the jackal was sniffing close to the ground, and that's gonna make me sneeze, he smelled something that he found rather familiar and frightening. He smelled the presence of a lion. Now the jackal was very afraid because lions were known to, well, let's just say, a fight between a lion and a jackal never ended well for the jackal. So the jackal, he was too close to run away, and he didn't want to confront the lion. And so the jackal, with his devious mind, began to think of ways to avoid fighting the lion. Unfortunately for him, he was up in a very rocky area. And so what the jackal did is he looked up and he saw these rocks on this precipice. And what he did, he fell back and he started screaming, "Oh no, no, someone save me, someone save me. What am I going to do?" And the lion came through the bush and said, "What seems to be the problem here? It's the rocks. It's the rocks. They're going to fall. They're going to crush us all. We need someone strong, someone mighty like the king of the jungle to hold the rocks and keep them from falling." And so the lion instantly looked up at the rocks and he jumped up and he put his forepaws up to keep the rocks from sliding anymore. And he strained against the non-moving rocks and he held it. And the jackal got up and said, "Oh, please just hold it a little bit longer. I'm going to run off and I'm going to find a log to put up against the rock so you don't have to hold it." And the jackal ran off. Well, it didn't take long before the lion realized the jackal was not coming back. And to this day, the jackal must use his cunning to survive and to avoid the wrath of a lion. But every now and then, the jackal and the lion get into it, and it never ends well for the jackal. And that's how the jackal became cunning animal.
Thank you, Baba C.
Thank you. And are you surprised that I actually showed up this morning? Because I do have the ceremony.
I was looking at a computer with entirely the wrong time on it. I had a computer with UK time and I thought I was looking at Moroccan time. And there's Ali shouting up the stairs, "John, it's time to start. Baba C is waiting for you."
Yeah,
I think I'm going to
go ahead.
I think I'm going to tell a story for a change.
Oh no, yes. John Rowe is going to tell a story.
I think as I'm on an Asian and Australasian, not that night, I think I should tell a Chinese story. At least it's an anglicized one because it's been going round the world so many times. No one knows where this story comes from. But it is set in China. And it's from way back in time when my hair was dark and my beard was ginger and all my teeth were my own. And there was a girl and she lived in a village in the middle of a forest in the middle of China. And she made the most beautiful ribbons you've ever seen in all of your life. And everyone from that village sewed those ribbons onto their clothes. And you know what it's like when you've got new clothes. You love to show them off. But they were walking around the village and everyone had the same clothes. There was no one to show them off to. So they walked through the forest till they came to the city. Everyone admired them. But in the middle of the city was a palace. And in the middle of the palace was an emperor. And he looked out of his window. How come those people down there have better clothes than me? Servants, go and find out where they got them from. And the servants went out and found out all about the ribbon maid. Well, don't just sit there. Go and fetch her. Well, off went the servants through the palace, through the city, through the forest, till they came to the ribbon maid. And there she was, sewing away, making the most beautiful ribbons you've ever seen in all of your life. You girl, the emperor wants to see you. Well, I don't particularly want to see the emperor, said the ribbon maid. She just carried on sewing. Now, you can't turn down invitations from the emperor. Well, they took her, they put her on a cart, they dragged her through the forest, they dragged her to the city, they dragged her through the palace, they threw her down the emperor's feet. You girl, you will make me the finest ribbons you've ever made in all of your life. Pardon, she said. You think you can send your servants to my village, insist I come and see you, and when I refuse, have me put in a cart, dragged through the forest, dragged through the city, dragged through the palace, throw them down your feet and then say, you girl, you will you will make me the finest ribbons you've ever made in all of your life. You must be joking. Now, you can't talk to emperors like that. And he took her and he locked her in a room. You girl, you've got 7 days to sew me a live chicken. And if you can't sew me a live chicken in 7 days, it's off with your head. Well, she was very worried, but she thought she'd try. So she sewed and she sewed and she sewed and she sewed. After 7 days, there was the most beautiful embroidered chicken, but it was still an embroidered chicken. It wasn't alive. And she thought how lonely her body would be without a head on top of it. And she cried, and a tear dropped on the chicken. And she bit her thumb, and a drop of blood dropped in the chicken. Suddenly, there was a live chicken in the room. In walked the emperor. There you go, said, live chicken. You didn't sew that, said the emperor. Someone brought that in for you. With that, the chicken jumped up, pecked in the face, and jumped out the window. Right. 7 days to sew me a live peacock. And if you can't sew me a live peacock in 7 days, you know, and I want no skimping, big fantail, eye on the end of every feather. And if you can't sew me a live peacock in 7 days, you know exactly what happens. Off with your head. Well, she was even more worried, but she sewed and she sewed and she sewed and she sewed. And after 7 days, there was the most beautiful embroidered peacock, but it was still an embroidered peacock. Wasn't alive, and she thought how difficult it would be to hold up her head without a body underneath it. She cried, and a tear dropped on the peacock, and she bit her thumb, and a drop of blood dropped on the peacock. Suddenly, there was a live peacock. In walked the emperor. There you go, said live peacock. You didn't sew that, said the emperor. Someone brought that in for you. That peacock jumped up, pecked in the face, and flopped out the window. If you ever see a peacock trying to fly, they flop. Right, no more tricks. 7 days to sew me a live dragon. And if you can't sew me a live dragon in 7 days, you know exactly what happens. Oh, with your head. Well, dragon is quite complicated. There's all those scales, little pointed tails, little wings. But she tried. And she sewed and she sewed and she sewed. And after 7 days, there was the most beautiful embroidered dragon. You know, like the ones you get in the back of silk dressing gowns. Only even better. But it was still an embroidered dragon. It wasn't alive. She thought about her head rolling across the floor, ba-doink, 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 ba-doink. And she cried. And a tear dropped on the dragon. She bit her thumb. A drop of blood dropped on the dragon. Suddenly, there was a live dragon in the room. In walked the emperor. And before he had a chance to speak, the dragon breathed in and the dragon breathed out. And we all know what happens when dragons breathe out. There was just a little pile of ashes where the emperor used to be. Right, where do you want to go now? Said the girl, said the dragon to the girl. Obviously, she wanted to go back to her village. On back to my village, she said. Oh, get on my back, said the dragon. And she got on the dragon's back and they flew out through the window. And they flew once around the palace, twice around the palace. The dragon breathed in and the dragon breathed out. And there was just a little pile of ashes where the palace used to be. But as they flew across the sky, the ribbon maiden was so happy. She was making the most beautiful ribbons of all different colors and throwing them into the air. And if you look up to the sky to this very day, if you're very lucky, you'll see a rainbow. And you'll know that's where the ribbon maiden was making her way back home on the back of the dragon. Thank you. Ah.
That was a hot tale that ended well.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been a brilliant night. Does anyone want to tell a second tale? We've got a few minutes. Ansuk, we said we'd give you time because you started. We'd let you do another one, but we haven't had anyone else joining us really.
I really enjoyed John's story, the rainbow, how it was made in China's sky. Yeah, I like that. I wanted to tell that story to my kids in my neighborhood. So,
Please
I
do, please do.
enjoyed
Did you
it.
know the story?
No.
Oh, there's
Thank you. Just I have no story to tell today.
no, that's okay. That's okay. But I know at the beginning because I wondered if people might be joining us because I'd got my time totally wrong. Yeah, it's the trouble with it. I've got some devices have got the right Moroccan time. I've got another device that has UK time. So, and I spend most of my life confused anyway. So it's getting worse. Right. Well, it's been a brilliant night. Thank you. And welcome, Padmini. It was so great to have you here. And I love these. I love these once a month or once every 4 weeks. And so I can't tell you when 4 weeks is.
28 days.
But yeah, thank you for that. For that education.
While you're thinking about that, I just
no, Ansuk has got the answer. Ansuk has managed to find a calendar.
Oh,
Next
hold it
month, December 11th.
Yes, that sounds right.
December.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Now I won't be here, unfortunately, but I'll try and I'll see if David can be here. If not, you know, we know you can. Well, Baba C can keep it all under control because he can get up in the middle of the night. And what time is it with you, Baba C?
it is 6:23 on the AM side.
Oh well, you know, I like to get you up at 4 o'clock in the morning,
and
so,
I have to be up in 3 hours to get ready for a ceremony. But that's all right. I'll do it.
On the 11th, I will be wearing a red suit, and I will be telling stories as Father Christmas in a big store in Bristol in the city. So in John Lewis. So I'm doing that for 12 days, or every weekend through December, and then the whole of Christmas week. So
all right.
Yeah, so there will be people sitting in for me. What we've got coming up tomorrow, which is Sunday at 6 p.m. UK time, Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. We have Rock the Casbah. We'll have we will be visiting a riad, which is got a French name, which means old blue eyes. Riad in Marrakesh to have a look around that. Ian Douglas, who is a fantastic storyteller, will be our main guest, but other people, other people will be joining us and telling stories. On Tuesday, we have, and every Tuesday we have our young international tellers. So we have children from. We have a regular 3 children from India who come on to that. And Padmini, if you have any students that you know that are allowed to stay up till 11 o'clock at night and would like to come on and tell a story, they're always welcome. And there's usually some children from Gaza and Nigeria and the UK on at that. I may not be there for that one. So I might have to get someone else to sit in for me there, because if life is good, I'll be going out to see one of the old master storytellers of Morocco, but he's a very old man and he can't leave his house. And but we want him to be the guest of honor at the festival. So I need to go and go to his house and invite him and all. So that will be a great honor. I've met him once before 5 years ago, but So but if I have to do that on Tuesday night, I'll have to get someone else to run that program. I'm sure if you're there, Babasi and David, well, I did David Heathfield because he knows the teachers, and he keeps bringing me wonderful people like Padmini. It's just
He does.
Padmini, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes.
I'm just going by the spelling. I've got to ask. Perfect. But in the meantime, thank you all for coming. I know we were a small and select group today.
Intimate.
But you have been wonderful. There will be many hundreds of people watching us on other devices. In the meanwhile, give each other a round of applause. And thank you all for joining us. And please come again whenever you like. If anyone wants to get up in the middle of the night there in South Asia, join us on our worldwide story rounds. But you know, you might like to sleep sometime.
What's sleep?
Sleep. Well, yeah, I know. If not, well, I won't be seeing you, but everyone else will see you on the 11th. I'll watch you on all and catch up. But meanwhile, good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world.
Let's hear it again for John Rowe.
Yeah, John. Mwah. Take care, everybody. God
Thank
You
bless.
and take care.
Yeah.
To be continued until the next time. And thank you, Ali, for flying the magic carpet.
Yeah, I was in the front room, I think. Is in control central.
What time is it in Morocco, John?
It's half past 11 now.
Oh,
11 p.m.
PM?
No, AM, 11:28. It's an hour ahead
Okay.
of the
Okay.
UK. So,
So-
Bye.
bye, Mindy.
Bye,
Bye.
Take care,
everyone.
Ansel.
Bye,
Take care, Mindy.
Bye,
Take
Babasi.
care,
care.
Minnie.
Have a good one.
care, everybody.
Yeah,
Bye,
take care,
Phil.
Baba.
I
Yeah,
shall.
so
You
nice seeing
too.
you all again. Yeah,
It
get
was
some sleep
delightful
if you
seeing
can. Get some sleep if you can.
I'm going to try for an hour or two now.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
power
right.
nap. There we go.
Yes.
Well,
Everyone
take care.
take care.
I think I have the controls. I think I'm going to end the meeting. End
She
for all.
disappeared.